In this video I'll show you how I paint my Stormcast Eternals. So I go for a sort of dark and a gritty Grimdark look, which might not show too well on the camera here under the studio lights, but if you follow along to this tutorial you'll have some dark and gritty Stormcast Eternals very similar to these. So let's hit the desk. So naturally the miniatures are primed in black, and I just use Vallejo's surface primer on these, but you could use a black rattle can or whatever you use. And I'm going to just base coat the entire miniature in lead belcher. You'll notice as well that this particular miniature has a different head. That is one of these Saleh helmets from St. Decent, and we sell them on our website, bitsbox.co.uk. A lot of people have been buying them for their Stormcast, I've noticed, but they are really cool. So once I've done a couple of coats of that, I'm going to paint the gold areas with Runelord brass. So I didn't want a bright striking gold or anything like that, and I really like Runelord brass. So yeah, that's going to go on the trim areas and the line shoulder pad on this particular miniature, and any other areas that you'd paint in this colour. So the next base coat is Avalanche Sunset, and I'm going to paint this on the knee pads and on the shoulder pad as well. If this wasn't a leader, then obviously I'd paint both shoulder pads with this colour. And I've thinned that out, and I think I'd do about 3 thin coats. I love Avalanche Sunset, it's one of my favourite base paints. So now that's dry, I'm going to move on to some Mornfang Brown, and this is for all the, like the belt and any other sort of leather areas. I could have gone with a darker brown, but I wanted something that would just show up just a little bit. And I really like Mornfang Brown as well. So still working around, I also paint the scabbard on the sword with this as well. Next up I'm taking some Rakarth flesh. This is just going to be for like seals or parchment. No, not purity seals, as is agency like that. Yeah, like sort of parchment and stuff like that. And then next I'm going to take Sentient Turquoise from 2 thin coats, and I'm painting this on the handles. Now I think this just contrasts really nicely with the yellow. It's probably not going to be everyone's cup of tea for this, but I just quite like how it sort of stands out. And we're going to give everything a wash in a little while to bring the colours down, so don't worry if it's looking too bright at this stage. So speaking of that wash, it's going to be some Agrax Earthshade, and I'm just going to apply it over everything, including the turquoise. And yeah, just using a large brush, I just apply it quite liberally, just all over the entire miniature. Just really darken everything down and give that old sort of worn look to metallics. Now I do really like how it changes the yellow as well. So give that plenty of time to dry, and then we can start doing some highlights, starting with Catachan Flesh. And this is to dirty up the armour. So, not highlight, sorry. I'm just using a little sponge with some tweezers just to dab it on very lightly, just odd little bits here, just to make the armour look dirty. I'm doing it on the yellow areas and the silver as well. Of course, this is optional. If you want your armour to look nice and clean, you don't have to do this step. But I quite like it for that sort of grimdark feel. And I'm going to go a bit further as well and take some iron oxide from 2 thin coats. And you could use Riser Rust as well if that's still about. Citadel still do it. I don't use a lot of Citadel paints these days, but I'm sure I've got it somewhere. Any orange paint really, and don't apply it as heavy as I did. So I had just a little bit too much on the sponge, so I'm just coming back, just holding the sponge this time, just to give it a little bit more control over it. But this particular rust paint is very thin, so when it first goes on it looks really bright, but because of how thin it is, that will darken down once it dries. Okay, so then I'm going to take some verdigris, also from 2 thin coats, and I'm going to paint some of this just on the brass areas. I think GW is at Nylock Oxide they do, I think that's what it's called, something like that. And yeah, just painting little bits in, just removing any excess. I don't want to just go over the whole thing with this. I just want little bits in recesses and areas where you think sort of water could pool and damage the brass areas. On the front, I'm just going putting a fair amount on there, and just on the weapon as well. So next up, I'm going to take some XV88, and this time we are actually doing some highlighting, and we're highlighting the belt and any other sort of straps and stuff like that, and just going along the scabbard as well. Take some Rakar flesh again, just to brighten up the parchment. Almost said seals again. Just very carefully, just avoiding them runes. And then lastly, I'm just taking some cursed blue to highlight the strapping or wrap or whatever it is on the grip on the hammers. I'm not gonna highlight the metallics or the yellows. I just want to keep them very dark. But obviously, if you want to do that with your miniatures, then you can go right ahead. But I've got a lot of these to paint, so I'm just keeping everything down to the minimum. And again, here we have the final miniature. And yeah, I really like this scheme. I've been using it for my Stormcast for quite a few years now. Originally I did have metallic blue instead of the yellow on them, but I've recently switched to the yellow over the last sort of maybe year or so, and I much prefer it. So that's what I'm using sort of going forward. I have a few other miniatures here using the same colour scheme as well. And yeah, I mean, it's a very straightforward tutorial. I didn't want to spend too much time on it. I have a lot of these to paint, and I want to try and get the box painted. But for a quick and easy tabletop standard, just to get them sort of rough, dirty, and sort of grimdark looking, I think it works really well. So yeah, if you have enjoyed this little painting tutorial, it'll be a first of many on this channel, then do feel free to give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see some more in the future, then yeah, do feel free to subscribe, hit the bell and all that stuff. And if there's anything in particular you'd like to see me paint, then I'm certainly open to some ideas. I've been painting some celestial lions lately, so I think my next tutorial will be for them, which will be quite exciting. So yeah, all that's left to say is thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all again in the next video.